Hello students, in this session I will be covering Annamalai University's MBA, MBA International Business, MBA Human Resource Management, MBA Marketing Management, MBA Financial Management, first year subject, Principles of Management. In this session I will be covering lessons 1 to 4, that is Unit 1. Let me start. Okay. The lesson 1 title is Development of Management Thought. In Unit 1, there are 4 lessons. The first lesson is, lesson 1 is Development of Management Thought. Second lesson is Basic Principles and Process of Management. Third lesson is Planning. And fourth lesson is Types of Plan. These are the 4 lessons in this session I will be covering. Okay, lesson 1, Development of Management Thought. Introduction. Here in this lesson, how management thought or how the management thinks and how it has been shaped or developed in various years has been covered. Okay, there are 2 eras or time period in which the management thinking or thought process have been developed. It has been stated as pre-scientific era or pre-scientific management era or scientific management era. In the pre-scientific era, there are 2 people basically who are regarded as greats or legends in those times in the pre-scientific era. One is Mr. Charles Babbage. He is the father of operations research. He is regarded as the father of operations research. And second one is Robert Owen. Okay, he is an entrepreneur and manager of several cotton textile mills. Now, to pre-scientific era, what do you mean by scientific era? Scientific is nothing but the lot of developments based on scientific principles have been introduced to management or organization management or business. But in pre-scientific period, there were no such thinking process or thought process happened, or so that's why there are 2 eras: pre-scientific era and scientific management era. Now, when we talk about scientific management era, there are greats like or legends like Frederick Winslow Taylor, Henry Fayol, etc. are the pioneers in this area. Now, what are the salient features of scientific management? One is separation of planning and doing. So planning is one thing, one of the functions of management, and doing is nothing but executing what has been planned. Okay, so both are being separated. Second one, functional foremanship. There will be somebody who is a supervisor or a manager to guide the subordinates or guide the department or the functional departments in completing their work whatever they have planned and executed well. Now, third one is job analysis. Each and every job which has to be done by one person at a time has to be analyzed and has to be properly made in a scientific manner so that it could be executed well and result has been obtained. Now, fourth one, standardization. Each and every tool and period and amount of work, working conditions and cost of production have been standardized. That meaning that the cost of doing that work can be reduced. When the cost of work has been reduced, naturally the product can be sold at a better rate, better price. So when better price has been received for the product, the organization will get a good profit, or the profit the organization sees. Okay. Now, next one is scientific selection and training of workers. The workers will be scientifically, using scientific methods, the workers will be selected and training will be imparted so that they can produce good quality product for the organization. Next one is financial incentive. The workers will be paid, or the employees will be paid financially for the rate of work they have done. Economy. While applying scientific management, not only scientific and technical aspects should be considered, but adequate consideration should be given to economy and profit. So the product should be made economically made, and required profit has to also to be generated from the product sold. Now, next one is the mental revolution. That means, as this is based on the scientific management era, there will be lot of methods or procedures, rules and regulation which have been formed, and the employers accordingly guide the employees in achieving their targeted work. So these are the salient features of scientific management. Okay. So from this session you will get a question like, what do you mean by scientific management? What are its salient features? Or explain its salient features. Now to Henry Fayol. Henry Fayol. Fayol is regarding it as the one of the pioneers of classical management school or classical management theory. So Henry Fayol said that managers are born or were born and not made. So there should be some innate talent, or when a person borns, there should be some management talent available within him, and that makes a good manager, not by through training. Okay, managers cannot be made through training. That's what he believes. Okay, and he has some principles based on principles on management based on division of labor. That means labor has been divided into various departments for easy management. Authority, manages the employees or subordinates below. Discipline, in every organization there should be some discipline available so that the members of the organization or the employees of the organization should be ready to obey. Now, unity of command. Every organization is led by some greater authority who passes on his command to the next subordinate. Unity of direction. The leadership will direct the next subordinate, and the next subordinate will direct the to the lowest level. Now, subordination of individual interest to the common good, which means that the organization's common goal or objective has to be given priority over the individuals or each and every individual's own interest. Remuneration, compensation for the work done has to be provided to the employees by the employer. Centralization, each and every decision making is centralized to the topmost authority. The hierarchy, that there should be a line of authority from top to bottom should be available in an organization. So the authority comes from the top management to the lowest level of the organization. Order, nothing but materials should be made available at the right place at the right time so that the employees can make use of it for producing products for the organization. Equity, managers should be both friendly and fair to the subordinates. So managers should treat subordinates with equal care. Stability of staff, the employee should stick to the organization rather than from the organization. Initiative, the subordinates, that means the employees at the lowest level should, or each and every level subordinate should take or get enough freedom to do their work in their own way for the common good of the organization. Esprit de corps, promoting team spirit and unity. So each and every team should have that camaraderie, that particular unity. We used to say unity is strength. So everybody should stick to their commands and do the work. So these are the principles, five principles of management. You might get a question about five principles of management. Explain five principles of management from this session or from this topic. There are something called as social sciences era. Chester I. Bernard's contribution is often described as the social science era, but there is not much significance in this particular topic. Okay, the significance is based on the scientific management era mostly. So these are the things which lesson 1 covers. Okay, now we move on to lesson 2, basic principles and process of management. Okay, here in this is the process of management, what is management and how management is done in an organization, and various aspects has been covered. Management means many things to many people. Basically it refers to the art of getting things done by or getting done through other people. So when few people have been managed or managed by a single manager or managers to get the things done, or whatever things has to be done inside an organization, is known as management. Okay. And management administration. Management is the act of or function of putting into practice the policies and plans decided upon by the administration. Administration is a determinative function, while management is an executive function. Okay, administration decides or decides the decisions or makes the important decision, but management executes it. Okay. So that's the difference between administration and management. Okay, there are certain functions of management. So let us see. First function is planning. Planning is a symbol outlining a future course of action. So planning is nothing but planning the future activities in advance. Next function is organizing. Organizing is nothing but organizing the resources. Okay, resources for that has been required in the next stage. So when things are planned, organizing makes the organizing of the resources. Resources are mainly 5 types, and the first 3 are human resources, financial resources, and machine resources. There are other 2 resources more which are hidden. One is time and the second one is effort. So the main resources are human resources, financial resources, and machine and material resources. So making these resources available is known as organizing. Okay. Third one is leading or directing. This is done by the manager or the leadership, which guides the subordinates in getting things done. Okay, it's an executing function. Next one is the controlling function of management. While plans of the organization spell out the objectives to be achieved, control as a managerial function facilitates to know whether the actual performance is in conformity with the planned one. So in this function, the managers should make sure that whatever planned in the first level has been executed correctly or not. Okay, so the controlling is a very important function. Okay. In between there is another function called as staffing. So staffing, which requires the human resources, has to be made available for the organization. The correct number of and the correct skilled employees or workers needs to be made available for the organization. There are three types of skilled workers. One is unskilled, the second one is semi-skilled, and the third one is fully skilled or skilled workers, which are required by the organization. There are three levels of management. One is the frontline supervisory level management. It's the bottom level. Second higher level is middle level management, and the top level is top level management. So front level managers guides the lowest level employees or operating workers or employees in the factory level. Middle level managers guides the departments, and the top level managers are called the chairman, board of directors, managing directors, etc. guides the middle level managers or the organization in total. So these are the things which is covered in lesson 2, basic principles and process of management. Now we move on to the third lesson, lesson 3, planning. Planning is nothing but the first function of management. So planning is nothing but plan the future course of actions or activities required to be done by the organization. So in planning, it is planned to make things happen for the organization. Also, to cope with the changes that will be happening in the future also needs to be planned to a certain extent. You cannot plan whatever changes that can happen in the external environment, like government agencies, legal and other formalities. You cannot plan all the things, but some changes that may happen can also be planned, or whatever alternative course of action that can be taken in case of a change requirement also can be planned to a certain extent. What are the principles of planning? One is take time to plan. You need time. You need to give time to plan. If you don't have time for planning, whatever that needs to be planned will not work out. Okay, so you need to give you need to give time for planning, proper time for planning. Planning can be top down or bottom up. So planning can be done from the lowest level to the top level, or top level to the bottom level or lowest level. Involve and communicate with all those concerned. So whatever you have planned needs to be communicated from top level to the bottom level, or bottom level to the top level. Plans must be flexible and dynamic. Whatever you have planned should be flexible enough, meaning that if there is any change requirement at any time, that change should be adaptable. That means can be made available to the action or action plan. Evaluate and revise. So if there is any change requirement in between, you need to evaluate. It should be possible to evaluate the situation and make changes to accordingly to the situation demands in the future. Now, what are the steps involved in planning? From this topic, you can get a question like, what do you mean by planning? What are the principles of planning? Okay, explain the principles of planning. Now, from the next session, next topic, you will get a what do you mean by planning? What are the steps involved in planning? So let us see what are the steps involved in planning. Establish goals. So while planning, the organization, the team which plans or makes the planning or makes the plan should establish the goals of the organization. So there should be some definite goals which needs to be attained in the near future. So that needs to be set and it should be very clear for all those who are involved in the planning process. Establish planning premises. So since plans operate in the future, it is imperative to make certain assumptions about the future. This act is called premising. That means the planning team will make some assumptions. That means these are the things that are going to happen in the future. So accordingly, we need to plan it. This is called as premising. So some amount of guesswork or assumptions needs to be made. Internal premises. Important internal premises include sales forecasting, that means assumption, policies of the organization, skills, attitudes and beliefs of the people, the resources of the organization. These are the internal matters to the organization. Whereas there are external premises also. That means factors in the environment, business environment, outside the organization, technological changes, general economic conditions, government policies, attitude towards business, demographic trends, socio-cultural changes in the society, political stability, production cost and their behavior, degree of competition in the market, availability of various resources and so on. These are the things which may not be controlled or cannot be controlled by the organization. So for those also some amount of planning can be done by the organization, but not in full. Okay. Decide the planning period. How long the planning has to be done needs to be decided. Develop alternatives and select the course of action. So the planning team or the management team should plan alternatives. So plan A doesn't work, plan B should be there in place to change, or if plan B and A and B doesn't work, there should be some plan C through which the organization should move ahead. And the plan should be reviewed periodically from time to time at certain intervals. The planning, whatever we have kept planning, should be reviewed and make revisions to the changes as required or if required. So these are the things which is covered in lesson 3. Here normal question is, what do you mean by planning? What are the steps involved in planning? Or what are the principles of planning? Now we will move to lesson 4, types of plans. So here we will cover what are the types of plans available. The first plan is strategic planning. That means the management or the team plans strategically to move ahead. Okay, strategic planning has its origin in military organizations. So in war front and all, how to face the enemy is done by the military. So similarly, organization needs, each and every organization should strategically plan to meet the competition in the marketplace. So organization accordingly will anticipate future opportunities and threats. Opportunities means where they can sell their products or services. and what are the threats, that means competition or competitor strategy available, already available, or what are the chances, upcoming chances of competition. Provide clarity of purpose and direction. So the plan should give a clear cut or clear idea what is it about, so what it is aimed at, so what should be the result of that particular plan, and there should be some direction to which the plan should go ahead in the future. So there should be some definite direction to be given for each and every plan. Operational planning. Operational planning is nothing but it's a day-to-day planning, how the day-to-day activities in an organization should be carried out. When you hear the word operation or operational, it refers to the day-to-day activities, how things, day-to-day things are being carried inside an organization. Each and every smallest thing that needs to be planned are done using operational planning. Strategic planning is a higher level planning, but operational planning is a lowest level planning done by the floor managers or frontline managers or supervisory people. Now let's see types of plans. First plan is mission or purpose. So this plan is done for a specific purpose or set of activities. Okay, the term mission or purpose are often used interchangeably. An organization's mission statement includes its philosophy and basic purpose for which it exists. So for a particular activity, set of activities, or a particular aim using which this mission or purpose for which this plan is done. Next one is policies. Policies are general statement or understanding which guides the thinking and action in decision making. So for creating policies, a planning has to be done, or a plan has to be in place. Next means procedures. So another term that is frequently heard in any organization is procedures. The term sounds some bureaucratic element where issues are finalized only after they undergone a long drawn scrutiny. But procedures, if simple and clear, would ensure order in the performance of operations. So in order to do or undertake operations in an organization, a proper procedure on how to do the things, or step by step, has to be made available inside the organization. So using those step by step procedures, a certain plan can be executed well inside the organization by anybody, okay, who is capable of doing it. Rules. A rule is also a plan, but the simplest type of plan. Rules are plans in that they suggest the required actions. Whatever has to be done by means of actions can be known as rules. Programs. Programs, a comprehensive plan that includes future use of different resources in an integrated pattern and establishes a sequence of required actions and time schedules for each in order to achieve stated objectives. Programs are nothing but comprehensive plan, a total plan, so which requires the usage of different types of resources. The resources are human resource, financial resource, machine and material resource, as well as effort and time. So by using these resources, the programs can be done or completed. Budgets are plans in that they contain statements of expected results in numerical terms. So budget is nothing but figures, facts and figures. Figures means numerical figures, 1 rupee, 2 rupees, 3 rupees. So that amount figure is mentioned in budgets. So what will be the cost for each and every set of activities are numerically made available. Those are terms are called as, or those plans are called as budgets. So is climate for planning, create climate for, so a conducive climate, that means good climate is required for planning to be done. Support from the top management is required. Equal participation of whoever involved in planning should be there. Proper communication between each and every member of the planning team should be there. Integration, each and every plan or activity should be integrated together. Strict monitoring, the person who is at the top or the leader of the planning team should monitor each and every activity of the team member or the planning member. So these are the things covered in lesson 4, types of plans. Now from this topic or from this lesson, you might get questions like policies, what are policies, procedures, programs, budget, etc. Or what do you mean by strategic planning? What do you mean by operational planning? Distinguish between strategic and operational planning. What are the various types of plans? Okay, what are the important points to consider for effective planning? Explain the important points for effective planning, etc. can be asked. So unit 1 ends here. Okay, so if you have not got anything from the first view of this or first time viewing this video, you repeat your viewing once again, or better times or number of times. You go through the text material, read that also along with this video. Thank you, all the best.